Namaste from India, everyone. I'm Axat, and I'll be watching Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning on the Republic Day, the 75th Republic Day of India, our glorious nation. And of course, a huge shout out to two of the children who have their birthdays. In fact, three children who have their birthdays on this date. I will not name names because that will cause privacy concerns, which I guess will play a huge part in Mission Impossible. So, Take a Look Around, which is one of my favorite songs from Mission Impossible 2 by Limp Bizkit. And I want to say that Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning starts in the Arctic Sea under the frozen ice. So, that's working on real life levels as well because it's cold, very, very cold. Uh, Much colder than it used to be in previous seasons in Delhi NCR, the capital of India, where we are. And that just goes to show how climate change and global warming works both ways. It's not just warming, it's cooling as well, but the extremes of temperatures will continue to go higher and lower and become more intense, and who knows, Delhi NCR might even receive snowfall within our lifetimes. So with that in mind, make sure you try and be sustainable and smash that sub button for awesome max fun. Here we go with Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning live reactions as far as possible, and of course I'll be wrapping it up with my takeaways from the movie. And this is part one, so you know that part two is going to land up sometime later. So we'll be looking forward to that as well. Let's see how Tom Cruise and team set up the finale of the Mission Impossible series, which has given us so many good memories and so many good action sequences. Alright, then let's get this show on the road. Do check out my other videos, not just movie reviews but sports highlights and travel vlogs as well, because we have been traveling all over India and we've been recording it for your viewing pleasure. So with that, let's get this started. Barely a minute into the movie, and we have the name drop. Dead Reckoning is the navigational term for, how they move through the seas. And I guess that the AI that they are developing, or they have already developed, is going to go berserk. So, it's playing into all these Gen AI, the Chat GPT and Bard, all these artificial intelligence tools that we are finding very handy these days. It's playing into that paranoia whether it can become threatening to humanity. Of course, this thing has already been explored in the Terminator series, but that involves time travel, so that's a completely different ball game altogether. This is so-called real-world spy stuff, and let's see how Ethan Hunt, played by Tom Cruise, of course, and his team deal with this. As always, of course, the mission will be accepted by Ethan Hunt, and the message giving him the mission will self destruct in 5 seconds. And it reminds me of that famous scene in which he gets that pair of sunglasses, and the mission is said into his ear and shown in front of his eyes, and he's rock climbing, and then he throws the sunglasses towards the camera. That was Mission Impossible 2, which of course was Take a Look Around, the original soundtrack. And I think I don't have any favorites because the stakes get higher and the action gets better with every passing Mission Impossible scene. But I think Rogue Nation was a little weak, and the first one was quite interesting in terms of character development. The second one was also pretty good. So I guess the original is hard to beat, and now it's basically just a game of, globe trotting and exotic locales. So let's see where all they take us. Right now we are in the Arabian desert already, so that's the Arctic Sea, and then Amsterdam, and then the Arabian Sea. So kind of three continents already covered. I'm pretty sure they'll cover Antarctica in one of the upcoming Mission Impossibles as well. So let's see if Dead Reckoning Part 2 takes us there. Once again, we see that trope of Tom Cruise pulling off a mask to reveal himself underneath and then putting on another mask to become somebody else. Alright, so lots of cliches going on, and as we were discussing, a lot of the spy stuff that has now become de rigueur or very usual in spy movies was actually kicked off in some Mission Impossible movies in the early part of the series. Just to say that it was a trailblazer, and let's see if they can blaze a new trail in this movie. It's on like Rashomon. If you haven't seen Akira Kurosawa, you should check out his movies. They're pretty awesome. Although they're a bit old, so it takes a bit getting used to if you're not used to HD, non HD quality. But yeah, everything is going as expected. People are flying all over the globe, and now, hopefully, halfway through the movie, we are going to see how these people are going to team up against the entity and one of Ethan Hunt's oldest foes, who has never sprung up in the Mission Impossible series. So, kind of late to introduce an old new villain, but let's see whether this Gabriel, whose name is kind of inspired by the Bible or whatever, uh, becomes an angel of death, or if Ethan Hunt can stop him. I mean, of course, we know that he will stop him, but let's see if he can stop him in part 1 and something new is developed for part 2, or whether this continues into part 2. All right, so from Venice to the Austrian Alps aboard the Orient Express, and that reminds me about two Agatha Christie based movies that I saw recently. Actually, one not so recently, which was Murder on the Orient Express, and the other, which I did see recently, which was A Haunting in Venice. And both, of course, had a stellar star cast, led by Kenneth Branagh, of course. But very far cry from Mission Impossible's or Agatha Christie novels. Nevertheless, the setting seems to be the same, and once again, we are playing dumb charades, or rather, mask charades. Uh, let's see whether this set piece is the last one, because there's nearly an hour to go for this movie to end. And even then, like I said earlier, I'm not sure if this Gabriel enemy is going to be killed off in this part, or whether he'll carry over to the next. But given all the long and kind of boring expositions that have been going on, especially after Ilsa was killed, spoiler alert, I think that this Gabriel character is going to be killed off, and there's going to be a new sort of villain for Dead Reckoning Part 2. And Dead Reckoning, for that matter, has not been used since the first minute or the first couple of minutes in which that nuclear Russian submarine was heading back to base before it got blown up by the entity, the rogue AI. So let's see if this train sequence is the last one, or whether there is another action sequence after this. There is this song by Red Hot Chili Peppers which goes, "Nothing ever goes according to plan. What could be wetter than an English girl, American man?" So if you consider that the English girl is Miss Carter, Agent Carter, Rebecca Ferguson, I think. No, oh, so sorry, that was Ilsa. Her name is Haley Atwell, right? So if you consider that Haley Atwell is the English girl and Tom Cruise is the American man, and they're about to fall into a river in the Austrian Alps because the train is falling off a bridge, which has been blown up by the villain, who has escaped, by the way, without the key, the all important key. Then I guess Red Hot Chili Peppers are very on the point with their song. And as far as the "nothing ever goes according to plan" part is concerned, everything always goes according to plan. It's just that the plan of these master spies is just one random lucky coincidence after another. But that's what makes for good movie watching. It's like edge of the seat action, because at every step, literally at every step, or at every uh, compartment of the train that they go through, whether it's the engine, the pantry, which I mean, you have to see it to like believe it, and then the dining car. I think all of it basically just falls into place, because how can the hero lose? So, as we near the end of Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning, I will say that it's definitely worth a watch, but you can kind of fast forward through the conversations, because in the end it's all going to boil down to Tom Cruise has to do that super heavy stunt, ride the bike off a cliff and parachute down into a moving train at the right window, through the right window where the heroine, the English girl Hilly Atwell, is going to get shot. So you have to take these things with a pinch of salt and a huge dose of non-sarcasm. But I guess that's it, and just about 10 minutes of runtime remaining. So they're setting up part 2 to have Gabriel in it, but I don't know, I could be surprised as the movie draws to an end. At the end, we come back full circle to beneath the Arctic Circle, and that is why I think in the end they say that some of us are doomed to repeat what we do, and Ethan Hunt will be repeating his spy games later. Alright, long weekend coming up, and the first of many long weekends this year. So, looking forward to making many more reviews and looking forward to your thoughts in the comments. And see you. Good night, take care, and stay safe. Mission Impossible for the win.